Hi, and thank you for joining us. My name is Mia Risberg. I'm a visual artist based in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I'm also the curator for the exhibit Mandali. This exhibit is part of the annual Rasa Festival, which is a multidisciplinary yearly festival showcasing Indian culture. The word Mandali conjures a circle, a network, or a connection. The latter is something that has often been on my mind for the past few months. How do we engage meaningfully with others in a time when we can often not be physically together? COVID-19 and the ensuing lockdown has created an environment of artificial isolation, but also new opportunities for artists to interact online with the world at large. This year, because of the virtual nature of the exhibit, I was thrilled to be able to invite artists that I not only admire, but some that are also geographically distant. Mandali showcases the work and practice of 10 contemporary artists with an Indian connection from various locations in the United States and India. Although their backgrounds and processes are different, there is a visual thread in their work that carries through in the exhibit. This thread serves as a reminder of how truly connected we are to each other, regardless of geography. A connection that is virtual but encompassing, much as a circle. I hope you enjoy the exhibit.
Hi, I'm Dhruvi Acharya. I live and work in Mumbai. I consider myself to be primarily a painter, but I also work with installation, with film, sculpture and digital work. In my work, I focus on the psychological and the emotional aspect of an urban woman's life in a world filled with discord, disparity, violence and environmental catastrophes. I often use dark humor to address these issues, and I'm interested in creating works that are visually and psychologically layered. In my work, I try and create a world where thoughts are as visible as reality, and whether the human forms morph to match the mental state, and empty thought and speech bubbles convey their emotions. My work is based on my drawings, and my drawing books are like a daily chronicle of emotions, of thoughts, things I read about, hear about, and these inform my work. So I primarily think of life as my inspiration. My studio is in Mumbai in India, and it's very close to the Arabian Sea. It's the monsoons going on in India. We have 4 months of rain, and my building is where I live as well as work. So this is my studio space, and this is where this is where my late husband grew up, and I also I live in the same building downstairs in another flat. I like working from home because it allows me to work at any odd hours, and it also lets me be close to my 2 sons and accessible to them. And this is my painting table, I guess, my thinking and sometimes watercolor desk. And this is another of my workstations for watercolors. And then there's another room at the other end which would have my storage and a place to make larger messes. The paintings in this show were made during the lockdown due to the coronavirus in India. We had a nationwide lockdown. It was one of the world's most strict and largest lockdown actually. On March 22nd, our Prime Minister announced a Janta curfew, which was like a voluntary curfew, and we had to stay home for a day. And then on March 25th, he gave the entire nation a 4-hour notice and about a lockdown, and nobody had time to prepare at all. And then this lockdown actually went on till May 15th nationwide, and until June 8th in Mumbai. So people lost their livelihoods, they were stranded away from their family, they lost their jobs. Many just day wage laborers just didn't get anything to eat. So this really affected all of us. And that's why the suddenness of this announcement and the stress that it brought about, it led me to just come to my studio and just put down things that were on my mind. I mean, that's usually anyway the way I work, is paint about what's on my mind. And the news was filled with the day wage laborers going hungry, and issues with healthcare and people's health, and all of them led me to kind of make this a daily practice. I came into the studio every day for for the 40 days, I think, and I made 33 paintings, watercolor paintings, and it was really what I needed to do. Anyway, we couldn't leave our homes at all, and this kind of works also because I've always painted things that I think about. And I started posting these paintings on Instagram, and a lot of people started asking if they were for sale. And this led me to think that I could actually do something with my work and help raise funds for the less fortunate among us. And my galleries immediately agreed, and we were able to raise quite a good amount to help the people who were underprivileged. COVID-19 has affected my community, myself, and my work in a myriad of ways. Our community, of course, with the lockdown, it was a tough time, but everybody, I think, came together as much as they could to provide food for the hungry. People didn't cut wages of people who worked with them but couldn't come to work because of the lockdown. Communities came together to organize for groceries and for sanitization and just general things for each building and each locality. My building actually had about 20 people who contracted the virus, so it was a tough time. This was after the lockdown ended, so we were 3 weeks of not stepping out at all. I got my watercolor table to my home, and I worked from there for some time. And on a personal note, like everyone else, just taking all the precautions. It's hard not going out, not traveling, not seeing art, not swimming. But, in the same time, I do think we are very privileged that I still have my health, my family and friends are well, I'm able to work. And, I'm just trying to do what I can to help my community. And in terms of my art practice, I think, I've already made a lot of work about the virus, but also now I think it's heading towards a world where we really need to be cognizant about what we are doing to our environment and why this virus entered our world in the first place.
Hi, I'm Soumya, Netrabile, and this is my studio. Let's check it out. Here's the space. I share it with 2 other painters, and here is my area. As you can tell, I am a really messy painter. And those are my gloves. So 3 of the pieces that are in the show are behind me. I think taken together, they represent the diversity of the investigations I'm involved in, but what they do have in common is my exploration of the figurative form, the body and anatomy. These are things that I'm always going back to. These are things that help me find my footing in a painting when I'm starting. Been a very avid hiker since I was a teenager. Nature is really, really important to me. Just taking it all in with all my senses. I take a walk in the woods every day, and I look at the river. I try to slow down and really make these experiences memorable and meaningful. So I think that a lot of these connections that I build with nature, they come out subconsciously when I'm painting and drawing. Sometimes I'll see a form, an interesting form developing, and sometimes I'll push it to become more realized, but more often than not, I'll just, let it be what it is, and then I will figure it out when I'm done. I work really freely. I don't, I'm not really thinking about content while I'm painting. Mostly focused on color relationships, on texture, on composition. I've had to make some adjustments with COVID. I share my space with 2 others, and we don't want to be in this space at the same time, so we divvy up our time here. This means that my work time has been cut down, but I do try to sneak in here when I know it's free, early mornings and late evenings. I think the other thing that I've been feeling since February is a sense of urgency. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. It's really helped me become freer and looser in my work. I think that I'm willing to take more risks. These are all good things, and I hope I can keep them going.
Hi, I'm Sajeev Visweswaran, visual artist, printmaker, based in Arbor, Michigan, and I do teach at art centers, University of Michigan Museum, and I do paperworks, I do watercolors, drawings, and printmaking. Printmaking is what I specialized in, and I studied from College of Art, Delhi, in painting as bachelor's degree. Then I did my master degree in printmaking from Maharaja Sajirav University, Baroda, and I taught in many universities in India, and I just relocated here in 2006. And and this is my first space. It's the studio where I work, where I create my works. This is my harvest today. I do believe in gardening, which reduces a lot of stress for everyone, I believe. I love flowers. I love vegetables, planting vegetables. Garden is my second space, where I spend the morning hours just to, water the plants and to relax, basically. So what happened is, like, during pandemic, like, you don't have any options other than this. You can't meet friends, you can't discuss your works, and I spend a lot of time here enjoying the nature, enjoying the garden. These are the works I'm exhibiting for this online show, which is curated by Mia Risberg. This work is called the Papaya, which is an etching, an aquatint, and this is Burning Lotus Pond. This is again etching, and also I did some hand coloring. So this work is, the idea behind work is, it's, in 2014 we had this new government came in India, which is very right wing, with their very right wing agenda. So lotus is their political symbol, so there is so much of hatred around. So this is like Burning Lotus Pond. It's a series. So my work has certain socio-political values, what I believe. This is again etching. This work is called Tara Bagh, which was done in 2015. So these are the works which I'm exhibiting for this show. This is my little space where I make my art. I do paperworks. and I do printmaking. Like, I don't have any studio space for doing my etchings, so I shifted my practice to screen printing and relief printmaking. So this is a tiny space in my basement, you know. Yeah. So I work simultaneously, right? Whenever there is like a lot going on, I switch to printmaking, and if I have a lot of time, I switch to drawing, because you need to think more about it, right? The image formation and everything. So that's it. This is my new drawing, which is a kind of abandoned space, which I explore more into, architectural spaces. Yes, this is it. Thank you so much for this opportunity to show my work. Thanks to the curator and thanks to Rasa organization. Thank you so much. So, as an artist, I do miss meeting people. Earlier I used to go out and meet friends, kind of discussion we have about art and our process. Even the process is the work process, thought process, everything is changing. You can't be so selfish anymore. You have to help each other. During this situation, because like everyone has to wear a mask so that everyone protect everyone, right? Kind of stuff. So this virus doesn't have a kind of religion, race, or no border. I'm thinking in different, because I'm from India and I relocated here, right? So it's like I was like trying to analyze how this pandemic is affecting people in India and in US, right? How it affect, and who are the most vulnerable communities, how they were treated and everything. So that kind of thoughts make me to do some kind of like my visuals are changing, because the way I make images are really changing, right? Earlier when I came here, like in US, I was really a bit surprised what to do. Like, I'm in a different place, what kind of images come into my paper at some point. Like, I live here, I know this situation, I'm trying to learn more about this plays, like history and everything, right? So but it's always tough. It's like you are not grown up here, and it will be tough. Like, I used to have all my images like have this kind of Indianness, what we call the images from India, the people, community, the protest march, like a lot of things which has so much of socio-political values. It's affecting everyone without this border. So I started thinking about in terms of there is a kind of common thread which I can associate with both the countries. I'm like seeing images, how people are trying to survive, survive, eat, shelter, accommodation, all this kind of stuffs, right? Happening here. It is also happening in a similar way, in India. Like in India, it's like laborers, like who work for daily wages. They are the most affected people. Like more than 100, 200 people died because they were asked to, leave the cities. These laborers are migrant workers in India. Like, they come from villages and make their money for their family, for their needs, like in cities, and they live in the streets. And one day the government is like shut down everything, and they are forced to leave. And during when then there was no transportation, everything. So it was not really planned by the government of India, and that kind of situation, right? How people struggled and all these kind of things. At the same time, in US, it's like it's affected mostly like the black community and Asian community, like which is like more like which black communities which are really struggling to have their medical insurances and everything, right? So So that I'm looking at it. I'm thinking. How I can develop certain images to depict my thoughts, and how can I support. How can I support? I don't know whether I can support the people through my works or whatever, but I have to say something, like how this situation, how they are going to recover from this situation, or I wanted to say something which is very positive.
I'm Chandrima Bhattacharrya from Santinketan, India. This is where I live. I can't go out far. I would like to have shown you the institute, but right now there's a lockdown going on. So this is my house and my neighbors, my maid actually. We have the luxury of maids here. I'm entering my living room now. There's a painting displayed there. A family portrait that I did. Now we shall be moving into my studio. I use this computer table for work, and this is a bedroom which I have converted into a studio. And because I don't need much space now, I do drawings on paper. These are my inks, my acrylic inks, waterproof, very nice, Daler Rooney. And these are my various pens and nibs and brushes and inks. In this exhibition, I am presenting 3 of my works based on goddesses of India. The first 2 are in acrylic on canvas, and they represent Durga and Lakshmi with their vahanas or vehicles, the lion and the owl. And here, the 2 goddesses are shown as young, glamorous, contemporary women wearing glittery contemporary jewelry with flowing hair, trousers in the case of Lakshmi, and high heels, and their vahanas are carried in their hands as a little kitten, as in Uma and Simba, and as a finger puppet in Lakshmi. Now Lakshmi is also accompanied by her consort, who is Vishnu, in one of his many incarnations of a composite animal called the Nabha Gunjar from Orissa. The composite animal form has got 9 animals, one of which is a human. The third work on paper is the icon of Mother India. It is based on an earlier painting done before independence of India by Abanindranath Tagore, showing a young, beautiful and ascetic Bharat Mata who is representing the India yet to be born, yet to develop into a full-fledged country. My Bharat Mata is a beautiful but middle-aged, ailing, affluent woman represented by her bejeweled tiara, but sitting on a rotting leaf of an alien-looking plant. Oozing droplets represent the pandemic, COVID, which has reduced India into a state of utter poverty and hopelessness. From outside, it all looks hunky-dory and fine, but inside, the majority of Indian population, which are poor people, are hopeless, jobless, are dying out of hunger, suicide, and this hopelessness has kind of inspired me to make this drawing. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Madhurima Ganguly. I'm from Calcutta, east side of India, and I live and work in Michigan and Arbor. This is my backyard. where I live, and I love this place. Can you see this park? So all the time all the kids come here and play, and that makes me so happy. I can see them play and all year round from my living room. That's something fantastic. This place definitely inspires me a lot, especially this tree. So looking at this tree from my studio is something, because this tree is the reminder of the harsh winter we face every year, and I always look forward to see when the leaves come out in this tree, end of winter, even spring. That is the time when I feel like enjoying a lot, because seeing this tree, I feel like spring and summer is coming. So right now I'm in my studio, which is another room in my house, and I have one corner set up as my workspace. So I do have a small work ready, which is a part of this show. This work is called When We Fight. So in this work, I used Lokta fiber royal paper and white ink with 18 karat gold ink. I prefer working with ink and watercolor because of its fluidity, and I take a lot of inspiration from nature. It could be anything and everything. Nature is something which inspires me throughout my practice. In this work, When We Fight, I try to express the complexity of human emotion, because when we fight, we don't fight only when we are angry. We fight because of many reasons. It could be frustration, it could be love, too much love, it could be jealousy, it could be many reasons. And sometimes even when we fight with somebody, we don't even know why we are fighting. Once the fight is over, when you say something and later on you realize maybe the person you were fighting with had nothing to do with the fight or your emotion. Maybe something happened to you with someone else, or some situation, and with this person you took out your emotions or your feelings. So all this complexity was really bothering me at that period of time when I created this work. This work I created in 2018, and so I wanted to put that complexity into my work, and that's how I created this work. I will show you again how I used a lot of different patterns in this work. I don't know if you can see completely. It's already framed, so you might see the reflections. But all these different designs and patterns are depiction of different or complex emotions from my point of view. How COVID-19 has changed my work and my life is a mix of emotions. Of course, it's not the same as before. I do miss going out and mingle with my friends and social gatherings, but at the same time I do like this pause, this sanity, this calmness, because before COVID-19 we were always running around, don't know for what, but it was a very busy life. But right now, for me personally, I think I needed this pause, because I just had a baby. She's 11 months old right now, and I really needed this calmness, this time to bond with her, and even because my husband is at home, so it's a family time every day for many hours. So I definitely love that. But yes, this situation has made me think, made me value things more, be it food, be it a job, be it friends, be it just going out. And it made me appreciate and realize more how we all are connected, how we all are part of one large family. And I think that's very appropriate for the subject of this exhibition, which is Mandali as a circle, as a society in a broader range. We all are connected, and so that is something I will keep in mind moving forward always, because one person's actions can affect the other person, and that we all should never forget. Last but not the least, I would like to thank you, Mia, for giving me this opportunity to show my work, and I'm really excited to be a part of this show. I hope you enjoy all of our works. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Cartwright. I am an artist living and working in Dayton, Ohio, and I make paintings that have a lot of collage elements that are figurative narratives, and they're really focused on sense of locality or location. This is my studio where I make my work. It's really luxurious for me just because it's inside my house, which is so nice. I worked full time, so it's nice to have a space I can just kind of pop in and out when I have time. This is the desk where I make most of my things, most of my paintings. You can look out on the backyard, which is really nice to kind of look out and see some birds and a little bit of nature and all that. I keep my paint color coordinated in here, and just kind of the rest of it, I have some fun lights. My paintings are kind of all around. I try and keep some plants, fresh flowers in here, just because it kind of makes me, get in the right frame of mind to have a space that is someplace where I would like to be. So all of the paintings that are included in this exhibit from me are connected to India in some way. So whether that be the materials that I've used have been sourced from India, or in theme, like the narrative, there's elements from my time in India. So my connection to India is a few years ago. I was living and working in Ahmedabad in Gujarat. I was there for my grad studies, and my job was to document the artisans and their processes they used to create. And this was something, it was attached to a heritage project where we were trying to capture kind of the intangible heritage of the city. So, the end product was one thing, but the process and trying to capture what that was really crucial. And it was really cool because this project ended up kind of helping Ahmedabad get World Heritage status from UNESCO a couple years ago. So yay. So it gave me a really great opportunity to see a lot of really great stuff. And one of the things that stands out to me is I was working with, a nonprofit that was kind of based at the ashram that Gandhi founded, and spent a lot of time at. So while he was there, he not only had his ashram, but he started a paper company, or a paper factory that was built to employ people in the surrounding slums, so to provide a source of work, and then to also, use recycled products. So it's kind of like a full circle kind of social good model, Gandhian model. And it was so cool. So I got to go and visit the factory and see all these papers, and I love a paper. So I got all these really kind of beautiful papers. So these are, made from silk, kind of block printing, which is really cool. It's another one made from silk. You can kind of really see, it's so cool. and then, just other natural materials. So I got so much paper. That was really exciting. So this is one painting I want to talk about today. It's kind of the one I have in my studio that's included in the exhibit. And these pieces here, these collage elements, are actually this yellow paper, which is so cool, it's so thick. And I ended up painting and collaging on top of those. And this painting it's called Evil Eye, and it's kind of about the connections that we share. So COVID has definitely affected my practice. And I will say that, despite all of the horrendous things that COVID-19 has brought to us, for me, one small silver lining is that it's been a really productive time for me. I think myself, like a lot of artists, kind of work through emotions and what's going on by painting, by doing their art practice. So now is the time, right? So I'm kind of able to kind of take all that anxiety, uncertainty, everything that's going on, and kind of channel that energy into my work. Another thing that's been helpful is I work full time, and I've been working from home. I'm really lucky for that. And it's kind of shortened the distance, so to speak, between myself working and my art practice, right? So, I don't have the stress of, the commute in the day. I'm working from home, and as soon as I'm done, I can transition into the studio, and I'm kind of not spending all of that energy from, kind of winding down from work, because it's like, I'm already here, let's go. So yeah, that has definitely been a small silver lining, but yeah, it's strange. But another thing I'm really, kind of pumped about is just to see, I love creative problem solving. I love having to work, with like under a set of restrictions, I guess. So it's been really cool to see, how people are adapting and, thriving despite, what's going on and the changes that we're making in the art community to still grow.
Hi, my name is Charuka. I'm an artist from India. My work is an extension of myself, a visual diary for me as a woman who's looking for her identity. It's like a visual representation, a documentation, a journal of my experiences, my psychological and emotional experiences that I go through as a woman in today's time. My work thus is a very intuitive and a very natural process, and a lot of times it is about what I am experiencing through as a woman as I live my life every day. Ornamentation and embellishment is also a primary part of my work in today's time. It primarily comes from my experience in fashion and my correlation to femininity with the culture that I grew up in, and thus it helps me express myself in a way that I feel like I'm dressing a woman every time I'm dressing an artwork for myself. I am intrigued by the tactileness of paper, and thus I work in a variety of mediums, from collages to watercolors on paper and sometimes on oil on canvas. I'm going to show you my workspace, but sadly this is not my studio space. I'm currently living out of my parents' house due to the pandemic, and hence this is a makeshift space for me to work currently. But I can show you a few things that I've been working around and working with right now. So you can see I have my brushes, my paints, my embroidery box, and a few supplies here and there. Currently, I am working on a few watercolors and collage series, so that's what mostly has been around. So this is my parents' space, and which has been one of the influence for me while I've been living here, surrounded by nature that we usually don't get in urban cities. So that has been a good change for me. Smaller towns have quite peace and a lot of nature to be surrounded with, which is what I'm grateful for. We have our pets and dogs and a beautiful space that we're always surrounded with. And we can often spot different birds, peacocks in our localities. So the works exhibited in this exhibition are a part of my current series called Warrant. I developed this series at the beginning of the pandemic. I was in my apartment and it was a very difficult time. I live alone, and due to the pandemic we were restricted to a lot of supply of our materials, of people, of conversations. I was having a major creative block and I didn't know, I just couldn't pick up my brush. Even when I did, it was very hard for me to even do something. And that is when I just started cutting images from a few magazines I had left over. I had no intention when I was just working on the series. It was like a creative exercise. But after a few works, I realized that it was just more than that. I ended up making a body of 15 works, which I ended up showing on my own platform, and which was one of my major successful events during the pandemic. These works are like, I named the series Woo Rant, which is a breakup of two words, woman and rant. And it primarily is because I, as a woman, needed an extension of space to rant out the feelings that I had been feeling, and this series was an outcome of that. I made a few works on paper and a few on panel, and like I said, I use embellishment as a part of my process. So these were embellished with pearls on the edges. This actually is one of my favorite works also. It is called Minds It, and actually the ones that are also on the exhibit called The Princess is one of my most favorite and loved works.
My name is Amelia Currier. This is my studio, which is a barn that was built in 1890 that my art partner and I converted with much labor a few years ago. This is where I work. Lots of natural light. I have different workstations. This is my ink station. The inks that I use are very concentrated, like a watercolor ink, and I use them to create the washes on this piece. So this is the piece called Tantra Dance that will be in the show that Mia curated. And I want to tell you a little bit about the technique I used to create this piece. The first component is called encaustic monotype, which is a technique that's done on what's known as a hot box. So this box heats up to 160 degrees. It's got light bulbs inside of it. And you take pigmented wax chunk like this, pretend this is warm, and then you draw on the surface the image you want, and then you gently lay your paper on top of the image like this, and then when you pull it back up, the image is integrated with the paper. So this part here is the encaustic phonotype element, and then I added these pastel focal points. So my inspiration for this piece and the other pieces I did that were based on meditation were inspired by a trip that I took to Venice. I went to the Venice Biennial in 2014 and saw the work that this man Frank Andre Jam brought back from India. This is the book that he published, Tantra Song. Anyway, when I saw these pieces, I was really struck by their contemporary abstract geometric appeal, but also they had a kind of a universal symbolism that really resonated with me too. These are done by people who do not consider themselves to be artists. They're more like shaman, and they use these pieces as meditation devices. So they're not intended to be art, but to our contemporary eye, they do look like very modern art. So I was very inspired by these. This is my other favorite one. These are all done on recycled cardboard or just found paper. So these help me find that resolution in the sense that I wanted to develop a focal point. So that's what's going on with this one. I have the focal point of the 4 circles, and then the other surrounding circles are also other types of focal points. It's not meant to be a meditation piece per se. It's more open-ended than that, but so that was the inspiration behind this piece. So I usually work on the floor. I'm more comfortable doing that, and this is currently my sort of palette of objects of the assemblages. So I've been working on these for the last 6 months, and during the COVID lockdown initially, I remember thinking to myself, it felt indulgent to be an artist when so many people were suffering and struggling, and it seemed too privileged to be in here working. And then I realized that that really art is an essential part of having a whole life, and so that's my objective. So thank you for watching me very much.
Hi, I'm Pallavi Singh. I'm a visual artist based in New Delhi, India. My work explores metrosexuality in Indian society, or I would say grooming culture of men in Indian society. I believe we are somehow conditioned to think beauty and grooming are inherently feminine. This kind of stereotyping makes me curious to understand how as a society we perceive gender stereotyping, sexuality, or even a small notion of beauty, and how these constructs have evolved over a time. To depict this journey in my work, I have consciously chosen a male subject. It was interesting for me to see how urban Indian men were slowly and gradually shifting from traditional rugged masculinity. Images in my work is the reflection of the society surrounding and the people who I met on my daily basis. I also use reference from Indian mythology and contemporary mass media in my work, which I transfer and transform them into my painting using my own aesthetic expression. And I would like to give you the glimpse to the surrounding, which is consciously or subconsciously has been part of my visual language.
So this is my surrounding or my habitat, which has equally contributed in my work at conscious or subconscious level. In fact, people living in these spaces have unknowingly acted as my muse. Their day-to-day activities, behavior, everything has contributed in my work. Usually, the streets are crowded, but due to COVID situation, it has been quiet for a while, as most people have confined themselves into their home.
So there is another space which I would like to show you, which has played equally important role in my visual language and has been important to me, is this small kitchen garden which was started by my father out of his passion for plants, vegetation, and then later on I joined him and helped him in making it as big as we can. I believe this garden, the plantation, has somewhere entered my artworks in form of motif, design, pattern, or even the shades of color which green shows in every season, or as a symbol. They all have contributed in my art process, in my thinking process. So finally, now I would like to move towards the space where all these observations are turned into more creative process, and which is called my studio space, or one can say working space, my workstation. So this is my space, my den, where I spend maximum time in thinking, in processing and making new works. It's a bit messy because it is also my storage space, and also I'm currently working on 2-3 pieces. This is the piece I'm currently working on. It's acrylic on paper, and it is going to be a 21 piece set. Mostly I work on paper because I somehow like its texture and I find quite handy. So I use, so my most works are on paper generally. Another piece which is also in the process, it's a collage kind, and it has paper clay, paper, watercolor, Indian tea tone in the background. And right now a lot of multiple small objects are in the process, which will be coming on this. In the exhibition Mandali, I would be displaying two series mine. One is Company B and another is Yayati series. Both the series deals with grooming and beautification through the lens of commercialization. In fact, Company B, that means the company beauty, actually deals with the creative marketing technique of commercial world, cosmetic world, who plays to the inherent desire of looking good. And I think they are quite successful in producing almost a new race who are dependent upon their product to boost their self-esteem, almost like an addict looking for a next fix. The series Company B will have two of my works. One is Regeneration and the other is The Delusion Trap. Both are in acrylic on paper, and in fact the Delusion Trap is somewhere inspired by the delusion mouse trap, which was invented in 1876 to capture multiple mouse, and mouse remains in delusion that whether he's trapped or not. So this kind of idea kind of inspired me to work, because I find it quite similar to the cosmetic world or the beauty world, where they trap the human mind, and by their new strategies every year, and we just don't realize it that we are in a trap. The second series, which is Yayati Bhav, is a continuation of Company B. It is inspired by the Indian story in Indian epic Mahabharata, of the Indian king Yayati, who due to unfortunate circumstances loses his youth, but desire to remain youthful remains with him. So this desire was actually termed as Yayati Bhav, and so Yayati is to look young and beautiful, whereas Bhav is the emotion. So I think which can be roughly translated as youthful desire, and I think corporate world plays to it. They try to arouse this desire in the common man, and common man keeps on falling for their new strategies. In fact, in the series Yati Bhav 1, 2 and 3, you will find that my imageries are I have taken the reference from Indian mythology god, and because I think these corporate people have been given a pedestal of a god who tries to fulfill your desire or arouse your desire regarding the beauty and grooming. I hope you enjoy the work in the exhibition, and it would be interesting for you to watch them. COVID-19 has affected me in terms of it has slowed my process. It has not totally stopped my process, but it has definitely slowed it in terms of interaction and the material. My works involves a lot of social interaction, meeting people, having a social gathering, observing them, conversation. So that has got limited and restricted. Whereas the material, I like going to the art stores and search for a new paper or a new paint or new material which would be good for my work. That has also got limited. Currently, I'm working with a very limited resources. What I'm able to find it like in my nearby areas. So I'm trying to work with that. So in that terms, yes, it has definitely affected me. But I think this experience might add something, some new dimension to my work or new input to my work, whether in terms of process, material, or the idea. But I also hope this situation ends soon.
My name is Nirmal Raja, and I live in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin, by the river and by Lake Michigan. It has been almost 30 years since I first encountered the lake, and it continues to be a constant source of comfort, joy, and inspiration. My best ideas come to me on my walks by the lake. The lake has its moods and often reflects, or seems to reflect, mine on any given day. I listen to it, talk to it, learn from it, and find comfort in it. It is a consistent source of so much, and I feel incredibly fortunate to be living by it. This is my studio. About a year ago, I had the urge to make larger work and found this roomy and airy space. Currently, I've returned to some larger paintings and drawings after many years. These are inspired by my photo archive and my daily practice small works, which are overlapped, juxtaposed, and abstracted yet again. My studio is a collection of remnants from previous bodies of work, somewhat of a sample gallery of projects, as most of my work is in a storage unit. I've been working with plaster and fabric and embroidery the past couple of years. I'm fascinated by the intersection of fiber arts with painting, drawing, and sculpture. Exploring various materials and experimenting with them is a big part of my practice. The intangible and the ever-changing are interesting places to explore in my work. Using simple form and a minimal number of materials, I explore the ephemeral in this series. Transience and elusive meaning are given form in the graphite lines that are visible and invisible depending on the light and the angle of the viewer. The visceral nature of touch and the potential of what our skin can feel and understand are distilled in this work. How can one represent the cool breeze on a warm summer evening or the silkiness of a flower petal on your cheek? What about the moments that take our breath away and we are grasping for words before the thought disappears forever? How does one address the ineffable? This series is an exploration of these concepts using photopolymer etching and hand-drawn graphite lines. I lost my beautiful studio for a few months when lockdown hit in March and the building shut down. I worked from home to create small works of embroidery to document the moment by collecting quotations from healthcare workers across the nation. The series, titled Feeble Barriers, speaks to the fragility of life, the challenges of healthcare workers, and racial disparity in the access to healthcare. This has been an incredibly moving and heartbreaking project, but it has also kept me sane. I'm concerned for the arts in the aftermath of the pandemic. We have a great supportive art community in Milwaukee, but the bottom line is that many artists are suffering, and I hope and pray that we get through this and survive and even thrive. I look forward to the amazing art that I know will come out of all of the suffering. Thank you so much
for including my work in this exhibition.